Hello, this and my other YouTube videos are extracted from the History of Man series, currently 6 books published in print, ebook, and most importantly, audiobook. I'm a storyteller, and if you like these video stories, you'll love the History of Man series audiobooks. Great for commuting or just sitting back and relaxing. And unlike a novel you've read where you know the ending, you can listen to these books on tape more than once. There's so much to learn. Available on Amazon and audible.com, I narrate the audiobooks. And the best part about that is you can listen to these stories without having to look at my stupid face. And with that said, let's get the show on the road. Hello, I'm John Bershoff with another episode of History of Man series. Today's subject, weather versus climate. When arguing on Facebook with a climate change denier, it's important to have the tools to argue. Although arguing on Facebook is generally a useless exercise, whether it's weather or politics. Climate change deniers conflate weather with climate. They are two different things. Weather is what's happening right now outside your window. Climate, by convention, is a 30-year average of weather patterns, 30 years of data for a given region, or for that matter, for the entire Earth. Now, weather is described, not climate, but weather is described with 4 main variables: hot or cold, wet or dry, calm or stormy, clear or cloudy. That is your classic weather report, often given by a beautiful meteorologist woman wearing a cute blouse or a tight top with well-done silicone. The weather report lets you know if you should take an umbrella or wear sunblock or stay home in bed, call in sick, and watch soap operas all day while it snows. By the way, soap operas are called soap operas because during the early years of daytime TV in the 50s and 60s, airing such classics as The Days of Our Lives or General Hospital, those shows featured, and still do, soap advertisements, laundry detergents like Tide for the then stay-at-home mother. Not so true today, when fortunately most women work outside the home because they're often better at it than men. Weather at a region and on Earth is chaotic because the main driver is the sun, with temperature, pressure, and moisture under the sun's direct influence. And there are other drivers of weather, other factors affecting the weather, such as the spin and tilt of the Earth, or where the moon is at, or jet streams, which are caused by rising warm air fighting it out with heavier cold air, all conspire to affect the weather. Other drivers of weather are mountains and valleys, large bodies of water. All of them conspire to make predicting tomorrow's weather a tad difficult. Consider the following comparisons. Take celestial bodies like Mars or the moon. Mars has a very thin atmosphere and the moon has none. Neither can retain heat, let alone water. No solar energy and no moisture to influence weather. None of that sun causing changes in temperature, hot and cold, and moisture, wet and dry, wind, and so on. None of it. Now, a moon meteorologist would have the same daily report. Tomorrow, sunny side of moon, 250 degrees Fahrenheit, and nothing. And on the dark side of the moon, tomorrow, 250 degrees Fahrenheit, and nothing. That's the moon's weather report. Mars, with a thin atmosphere, does have more than nothing, but not much more. Sunny side Mars at the equator might reach a balmy 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and nighttime at the exact same spot on Mars, minus 250 degrees Fahrenheit. With a thin atmosphere and those wild temperature changes, Mars does have wind, and that wind picks up dry particles off the Martian surface. They're called dust storms here and dust storms there. And they can reach speeds of 60 miles per hour and perhaps more. Well, that's half the velocity of an Atlantic hurricane heading towards Florida, but it's still something. But that storm on Mars can last months. Nothing to stop it once it starts. But other than that, that is the weather report. The Dark Side of the Moon, 1973, and The Wall, 1979, were, by the way, the defining albums of the fabulous British rock group Pink Floyd. The Dark Side of the Moon album covers conflict, greed, mental illness, mostly courtesy of Sid Garrett and his tormented life. The Wall album covers abandonment, personal isolation, mostly reflected in Roger Waters' life, with The Wall being one of the early rock operas. The first rock opera, of course, was Tommy, 1969, by who? Oh yeah, The Who. Climate, as opposed to weather, is a 30-year average of weather for a region or for a continent or even for an entire planet like Earth. 30 years of data collecting appears to be long enough to catch trends, but not so long that the report becomes hopelessly derivative. 6 data points are used in climate reports: temperature, humidity, atmospheric pressure, prevailing winds, precipitation, rain or snow, atmospheric particle count, dust, pollution, things like that. But the 2 most important in a climate report that concern us humans are temperature and precipitation. A climate report lets you know whether you want to move to Chicago's 4 seasons: wet, cold spring, hot, humid summer, mild autumns, brutal, windy, snowy, cold winters. That's Chicago. Or the climate report lets you know if you want to move to San Diego, where every day is a brief report, like the moon, warm, pleasant, practically unchanging. That's San Diego. Climate deniers conflate weather as if it is climate. Remember our discussion, they are 2 different things. Now, for instance, this is a classic example. In 2010, Australia was the victim of an unusual South Pacific El Nino La Nina pattern, where it rained so much over the continent of Australia that worldwide sea levels dropped. Imagine that. Climate deniers try to use that to show that the oceans are not rising. But when the dust settled, or should I say, when the rain stopped raining over Australia and all that water flowed back into the ocean, worldwide ocean levels returned to their rising patterns. Now, look for my videos on Global Warming 101. There are at least 4 videos on global warming. The key word you'll learn is rate. The rate at which global temperatures, global sea levels, global carbon dioxide atmospheric levels are rising, and that rate is important in determining if what's going on in the climate is normal or abnormal. Even melting ice sheets, the rate at which they're melting, helps determine climate change. Yes, those 3 variables, global temperature, atmospheric CO2, sea levels, have risen and declined over the history of our planet. That is true. They've gone up, they've gone down over 4 or 5 billion years, but not at the current rate. The current rate of rise is like nothing our planet has ever experienced in its 4.6 billion years of existence. Like Vince Vaughn, Las Vegas, baby, with abnormal global warming and climate change, it is the rate, baby. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the History of Man series. I have books out, 6 right now. This is the first History of Man series. It's a style of writing called jumping off, where I have a base subject, medicine and science, and I jump off into all kinds of subjects: astronomy, history, sociology, philosophy, music, art, you name it. I always come back to the story and jump off and come back. It may not be a style of writing for everybody. And the books are available in print, Kindle, and of course, audiobook. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you're doing well. And come see me again for other episodes of the History of Man series. Thank you very much.